So now that sectioning is complete, we will begin our wrap. So our base control for this wrap will be 1 diameter base size, half off base. Our wrapping pattern, we will always start center back, side side, center, side side, center, side side. Does not matter which side you go to after your center. Center needs to be completed first. We will start at the top of the section and roll down. Starting with short rods in the nape, I'm going to measure 1 diameter base size and I will part straight across. We will be using 2 end papers to control the ends. So 90 from the center of the base. Hold your comb here or here, it does not matter, but you need to keep your comb in your hand. Ideally, I would pick up 2 papers at once, but for video purposes, I will put 1 paper on at a time so that you can see. Underneath, hold, smooth that hair. Second paper on top. I'm going to line up my ends, hold, hold, and pull. I want to pull so that I've got 1/2 inch of paper before my ends. Short rods, rod will go under the paper and roll paper first, then ends. Keep your finger on top until that paper is gone. Then you can get out to the ends and use both thumbs and fingers to roll in. When I get into the scalp, I am going to hold with my right hand, come across and get the elastic with my left, and across the top of the section. The next, another 1 diameter base size. Eventually you will be able to eyeball, knowing how big your sections should be depending on rod diameter, but in the beginning measure to get 1 diameter base size. 1/2 off base, 90 from the center, comb it up, paper underneath, hold, hold, and you are holding that hair between your middle finger and your index, not pinched between your thumb and finger. You need to keep that hair spread out, so I'm going to hold close to the end, bring my fingers out, and pull. Short rod, underneath, roll paper first, and keep your finger on top until the paper's gone, then out to the ends and roll in. Hold with your right hand, come across and get the elastic with your left. We measured 3 rod diameters at the nape, so you should have 1 diameter left. Hold, pull, if you need to, smooth that hair. Second paper on top, hold, hold, pull. Wet if you need to. Rod underneath, paper first, smooth around the rod so that your ends stay spread out. Hold with your right, come up with your left and across. I'm going to move to the right side. It doesn't matter whether you go right or left at this point. For video purposes again, I will only be wrapping one side of the head. Wet your section. Again, 1 diameter base, still using all short perm rods. Underneath, 90 from the center of the base to create 1/2 off base tool position. 1 paper underneath, hold, smooth those ends, and then your second paper on top. Hold, hold, pull, keeping your ends smooth, making sure that you're rolling paper, then hair. Now, we want our buttons or our fasteners to stay at the hairline. So I need, as a right-handed person, I need to be aware that I turn my rod over and keep my fasteners towards the hairline. Now in this section, you will hold with your left hand, come across, get that elastic up and top of the rod. 1 diameter again, 90 from the center of the base to create a half off base tool position, 1 paper underneath, smooth that hair, 1 paper on top, hold close to your ends, bring your other fingers out and pull. Rod underneath, buttons towards the hairline, and roll. Hold with the left, elastic straight up to the ceiling and across. 1 more. Paper underneath, hold, smooth. Paper on top, hold, hold, and pull. So you're rolling paper first, keeping those ends smooth to avoid fish hooks. Hold with the left, get the elastic with the right, and come across. Now, I would go to this side next to complete a full head. But since I'm wrapping only half, I'm going to go to my center back. Now, I'm going to bring this head position towards me so that I can reach the top of the head. Upright or towards you for head position will be the best so that you can make sure that you're getting half off base. Wet your section thoroughly. It will help with speed, not having to stop and pick up that water bottle all the time. So now we are going to switch to long perm rods. I'm still going to measure 1 diameter base and part straight across. I want 90 from the center of the base, which means I need to comb it up so that right from here, I'm 90 from that head. Everything else the same, paper underneath, hold, smooth those ends, paper on top, hold, hold, pull. Rod underneath and roll in. Really make sure that this first rod is half off base or everything else will be dragged down. Continuing with 1 diameter base size and long rods through this center back section. I will continue to wrap the center back using long rods, 1 diameter base size, and half off base tool position. So now that I've completed the center back section, I am going to move to one of the backside sections. Being right-handed, I prefer to do my right side first, but it does not matter whether you go right or left. Wet your section down. And I'm actually going to move my head position so that I am standing equal to these 4 rods. My first rod is going to be a short rod. If your first rods are in properly, you should be lining up with the 4th rod, which means it is the full length of a small perm rod. So I want to be 1 diameter to a point at my 4th rod. So 1 diameter to a point, and I am going to roll this rod equal to this part, not on an angle this way. So still 90 from the center of the base, paper underneath, smooth ends, paper on top, hold, pull, short rod. Again, I want my buttons towards the face and roll in. Now I hold with my left, get my elastic with the right, come across. Now this rod sits perpendicular or at a 90-degree angle to the 4 top ones. So it lines up with the 5th. So I'm going to take a step towards the center, and now I'm going to match up with my 6th rod. 1 diameter to 1 diameter, and I will change to long perm rods. Making sure that this hair is combed from the center of that base and not out this way. This is why you take that little step towards the center back. Smooth those ends, paper on top, hold, pull, and long rods, buttons towards the face. Roll paper first, then ends to avoid fish hooks. Hold with the left, get your elastic with the right, and over the top. Now again, I'm going to take one more little step for the 3rd one, diameter to diameter, and taking that step towards the center back allows you to go with the curve of the head. 90 from the center of the base, paper underneath, hold, pull those ends, comb if you need to, paper on top, hold, hold, pull. And if you have to lift up, get your ends smooth. Long perm rod, buttons towards the face. Hold with the left, come and get the elastic with your right, up and across the top of the rod. So now I will stand here and wrap the rest of this section, 1 diameter base size, half off base tool position, all long perm rods. So now that I'm completed this side, I would wrap the other side. After my both backside sections are wrapped, I am going to go to the center top section. Now it is okay to move your client's head towards you, and we are going to wrap from the back of this section forward. And this is due to the curve of the head. This will allow you to wrap with the hair growth and to avoid any breakage. Because I'm finding that I'm a little wide here, I'm adjusting that section before I start, and that's perfectly fine. So 1 diameter and half off base. So get that hair up 90 from the center of the base. Get your rod, paper in, 1 paper underneath, smooth your hair, paper on top, hold, hold, pull. And I'm going to turn my rod so that the buttons in the front section are going to be on the same side as the buttons in the back. This is not critical, it is just personal preference. So again, there will be a slight gap here because we are changing directions, but make sure that that first rod is half off base, 1 diameter, so that it does not cause you to drag or lower your elevation on the rest of the section. So I will continue to wrap this front section forward, long perm rods, 1 diameter, half off base. So this will be my last long perm rod in this front. And because of how the hairline goes and the thickness at the front hairline, I'm going to put a short perm rod right at the front hairline. And that is completely acceptable. It all depends on length of the section that you're working on. Diameters are the same, it's just difference in length. So again, because I have just a small section left here, I'm only going to use a short perm rod. So with that top section complete, I am going to move to my right side. Again, does not matter, right or left, as long as you are doing center before sides. So in the front, because the head does curve, and I want my rods to sit on a slight diagonal back, I'm also going to start with a short rod, 1 diameter to a point. Again, if these rods are in properly, it should be to the 4th rod. Measure the length of a short rod. Again, 1 diameter to a point, in this case at my 4th rod. I am behind the hairline. This will create a very slight diagonal back line to allow these rods to conform to the curve of the head, and also that when we apply solution, that it drips away from the client's face instead of towards the client's face. So 1 diameter to a point, 1 diameter at the back to a point at the 4th rod, short rod, buttons towards the face again. Hold with your left, get your elastic with your right, and in. So now 1 diameter to 1 diameter. Don't straighten yourself out at this point and have a wide section at the front. We want to keep diameter to diameter, and it will end up still a very slight diagonal back line. And we will change to long perm rods, only 1 short to begin this section. Everything after that are long rods, buttons towards the face, hold with your left, get the elastic with your right. And this curves upward, slight diagonal back line. I will continue to wrap this section using 1 diameter, half off base tool position, and my partings will be slight diagonal back. So as I get down to my last section, and because of sideburn areas, I'm also going to have 1 short rod at the sideburn. All depends on hair growth, how low those sideburn areas are. Again, the diameter of the rods are exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the length. So a short rod is going to fit better in that small sideburn area. I'm still going to use 2 papers, even though this is a smaller section. Then to complete my wrap, I would obviously go and wrap the other front side. So this is a completed half head, 9 section perm wrap.